Welcome to The Explainer. This month, we're jumping back to a moment that honestly changed everything. October 2025. And look, this wasn't just some minor software patch. No, this was the month AI really stopped being a fun little toy and started to, well, grow up and become a core piece of our daily lives.
For the longest time, right, AI was basically a chatbot, something you could talk to. But October 2025 is when we got the answer to this massive question. What happens when it stops just talking and starts doing? That was the moment the entire AI world started to pivot, moving away from just conversation and towards AI as an active player in our digital world.
All right, so let's get right into it. The first huge change we saw was this idea of AI moving from just being a tool to becoming a full-blown platform. And you got to understand, this wasn't just about adding a new feature. No, this was about changing the very foundation of what AI was. It was a total game changer.
So the whole paradigm just flipped on its head. I mean, think about it like this. For a long time, AI was like a calculator. A really smart calculator, sure, but still a tool you'd go to for one specific thing. What happened in October 2025 is that it became more like an operating system, something you build on top of. It became this open ecosystem where any developer could come in and plug in their own apps. All of a sudden, the AI wasn't just a single tool. It was the central hub for, well, everything.
And you know who was leading this charge? OpenAI. Their strategy to win this new platform war was, frankly, a masterclass. It was this brilliant three-step play. First, they threw open the doors with the developer kit. They basically said, hey everyone, come build your apps inside ChatGPT. Then, step two, they laid out their grand vision to turn ChatGPT into the everything app, the one place you go for countless services. And the final move, the real kicker, they launched their own AI-native browser, Atlas, taking the fight directly to Google's front door.
Okay, so you've built this incredible platform. Now what? Well, the next logical step, and this is where things get really wild, is you let the AI actually use that platform. And that's exactly what happened. This is where we saw the rise of what everyone started calling agents. AI that could do more than just answer you. It could actually go out and act for you.
The term everyone in the industry started using was agentic AI. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. We're talking about an AI that can act as your personal agent. You could give it a complex goal like plan a weekend trip to a new city, and it would autonomously figure out all the steps, reasoning, planning, using different tools online, and then just do it, all without you having to micromanage every single click. This, for a lot of people, was when AI started to feel really intelligent.
And the breakthrough technology that powered all this is something called world models. Okay, just imagine an AI that can run thousands of what-if scenarios inside its own mind, kind of like a grandmaster in chess thinking 10, 20 moves ahead. It literally builds a tiny simulation of the world to predict what's going to happen next. This was such a mind-blowing concept that Google DeepMind's version, which they call Genie 3, was even named one of Time's best inventions of 2025. Yeah, it was that big a deal.
And look, the key thing to get here is that this wasn't just some weird experiment in a lab. No, this stuff was hitting the real world fast. Google rolled out something called an agent payment protocol, which basically created a standard, secure way for these AIs to handle money. And get this, over 60 major financial players, we're talking MasterCard, PayPal, the big ones, they all signed up like right away. They saw where this was going. And once the big companies got on board, it just kicked off an absolute explosion of new tools for developers. All of a sudden, every major tech company was scrambling to get their own agent building kits out the door. Google, Microsoft, you name it. If you were a developer, no matter what language you used, there was suddenly a framework for you. Vercel even spun up a whole marketplace, like an app store, but just for AI agents. It was a total gold rush.
But you know, as AI got more and more powerful, and as these agents got more capable, the whole industry learned this really surprising and very human lesson. It turns out that just having the rawest, most powerful AI on the block isn't actually enough to win.
And this right here tells the whole story. You had DeepSeek, which on paper was the more powerful, technically superior model. And then you had Dubao from ByteDance, which absolutely crushed it, with 157 million users. So what was the difference? Well, it wasn't about the raw horsepower. It was all about the user experience. Dubao was just friendlier, more approachable.
And this quote really says it all. The goal for Dubao wasn't to build the most powerful tool. It was to create an intimate friend. Their secret weapon was its personality. And what this proved to everyone was that, for a technology to really be adopted by the masses, how it makes you feel
can be way more important than what it can technically do. And of course, the big tech giants were watching this very closely. Microsoft, for one, did a complete 180 on its Copilot assistant. And this wasn't just a simple redesign, it was a deep philosophical shift. They called it Humanist AI. They gave it a new friendly avatar, they integrated voice commands right into Windows, and they even gave it vision to understand what was on your screen. The whole point was to make Copilot feel less like a feature and more like a genuinely helpful partner.
Okay, but of course, making AI more powerful, more independent, and more friendly all at the same time, well, that requires a staggering amount of computing power. This kicked off a massive hardware arms race, which, as you can probably guess, brought its own set of pretty serious problems.
I mean, this hardware race just went into overdrive. You had Apple pushing for more on-device AI with their M5 chip. You had NVIDIA, the undisputed king, literally shipping desktop supercomputers to developers. Qualcomm bought Arduino to try and get AI onto every tiny little edge device out there. And then, in a really fascinating strategic move, OpenAI started pouring billions into AMD chips, clearly trying to diversify and not be so reliant on NVIDIA. That sent some real shockwaves through the market.
But with all this new power came all these new vulnerabilities. The minute these AI agents started using tools and connecting to the internet, they became massive targets. A brand new kind of attack called prompt injection popped up, which is basically just tricking the AI with hidden instructions to do bad stuff. And reports of these attacks didn't just go up, they skyrocketed. We're talking a 540% increase. Just insane.
And at the exact same time, we were all forced to confront a whole wave of really messy ethical and legal questions. You had OpenAI stirring up controversy by allowing errata content, then having to slam the brakes on generating videos of historical figures because of copyright issues. Meanwhile, regulators were trying to catch up, with California passing a new law that said AI had to tell you it was AI. And to top it all off, researchers dropped this little bombshell. Turns out, feeding AI a diet of social media data was actually making it, well, dumber.
So when you put it all together, October 2025 really was the month that AI became something entirely new. It wasn't just a tool anymore. It was a platform. It was an agent that could act in the world. The technology, without a doubt, got a massive upgrade. But it also left us with this one huge critical question that we are still trying to figure out today. The AI has been upgraded, but are we?